The Supreme Court just delivered the most consequential ruling on children's rights in a generation, and the entire progressive establishment is melting down right before our eyes. Come on in, gang, one and all. Welcome back to the channel. This is huge. Many of you, I think, have heard, but in a historic 6-3 decision, the highest court in the land has affirmed that 72% of Americans, what we already believe, children should be protected from irreversible medical procedures that they cannot possibly legally consent to. But here's what makes this decision truly extraordinary. The ruling does not just protect vulnerable minors. It systematically dismantles the entire ideological infrastructure that has been pushing experimental treatments on children for years. And ironically, within minutes of that decision, Vice President J.D. Vance was suspended from the far-left liberal social media platform Blue Sky, simply for quoting Justice Thomas's devastating concurrence that exposed the bad arguments and substandard science behind these procedures and advocacies. So this isn't just a legal victory. It's the beginning of a complete cultural paradigm shift in how America protects its children in rejecting all things woke. So specifically, this involves the Supreme Court's decision in a case called United States versus Skrmetti. Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the majority, concluded that the state of Tennessee and their ban on transgender surgeries for minors does not violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, which is what the trans activists were arguing. The Tennessee law prohibits doctors from prescribing things like puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and conducting surgeries to minors, procedures that carry lifelong consequences, including sterilization and other significant harms. What makes this ruling so powerful is its clarity. The court recognized that this case clarifies with it the weight of fierce scientific and policy debates about the safety, efficacy, and propriety of medical treatments in what they call an evolving field. But rather than imposing their own preferences, the 6 justices properly returned this decision to the people, their elected representatives, and the democratic process. That's actually written in the decision itself. In other words, ideologues and so-called experts, self-appointed experts, do not get to tell the people of Tennessee how to run their state and how to take care of their kids. It's the people, right, the consent of the governed, who make that decision ultimately, not a managerial class of self-proclaimed experts. The implications for this decision are absolutely enormous. If you don't know, nearly half the states in our nation, over 24, have similar laws, and all of them can now confidently enforce protections for minors. Now, keep in mind, if the 3 liberals on the court had their way, the ideology of trans activism would have been imposed from above on the entirety of our nation. Again, that's key. An ideology, not science, not civil rights, not facts. A brutal leftist ideology would have been imposed upon the nation. And that's exactly what Justice Clarence Thomas directly noted in his 23-page concurrence. Thomas did not mince words. Does he ever? He said that these so-called experts who argued on behalf of the pro-trans position have built their medical determinations on what he calls, quote, conceitedly weak evidence, and have surreptitiously compromised their medical recommendations to achieve political ends. Gang, that is not just a legal opinion. That is a comprehensive indictment of an entire medical establishment that has abandoned scientific rigor in favor of ideological conformity. You are not scientists. That's exactly what Thomas said. You are not scientists. You are ideologues. Now, obviously, the legacy media is not happy about this. Obviously so. I mean, we talk a lot on this channel about this. The legacy media is governed by an ideology called progressive realism, which believes that the arc of history inevitably bends in the direction of the liberal left. It's basically based on Frank Fukuyama's end of history thesis from the early 1990s that basically argued that all the political and economic systems of the world were inevitably converging into liberal globalism. Okay. So the media has, for decades now, dedicated itself to the task of supposedly exposing the political right as always attempting to get in the way of history, because history always bends, the arc of history always bends in the direction of the political left. So this is why, for the legacy media, the Democrats are always assumed innocent until proven guilty. All the while, Republicans are always assumed guilty until proven innocent, which, of course, given their standard to prove, is near impossible. But the legacy media operates from the assumption that all things leftist are good, while all things rightist are bad. And so the reaction to this ruling has been nothing short of revealing, just exposing their complete abandonment of journalistic standards in favor of naked advocacy. Major outlets like the Washington Post, the New York Times, NBC News, even Scientific American immediately framed the decision as a major setback for transgender rights. A setback. You see, that's the progressive realism. History inevitably moves in the direction of left-wing causes, and so this is a setback for the natural movement of history. Even though